إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I welcome you to today's class as we continue our discussion on lessons from the stories in the Quran. Today, inshallah, we'll be looking at the story of Bilqees in the Quran. The story has it that Bilqees was born to a family, a royal family, and her father was a king. He was a king in Sheba, at Saba. If you've not forgotten the story, we did a while back about the people of Sheba who were given 2 gardens. So this story is also about their town, but they were set in different time. But the king, the father of Bilqees, was a king in Sheba. And their kingdom was a large and noble kingdom with a large army, a large, strong, and competent army. Eventually, historians say the king died, and when the king died, he had no heir to the throne, so the people selected a man to be the king to succeed the father of Bilqees. But this man was ruthless, he was corrupt, and he oppressed the people a lot. So to save her people, Bilqees proposed marriage to this king, this new ruler, and he accepted. Well, she had her own intent. So on the night of the wedding, she made him drink to stupor. She fed him wine. And when he was drunk, she killed him and beheaded him. So by so doing, she saved her people from his grip, and she was made the king afterwards, the queen afterwards. She was made the queen of her people, and she led them. But unfortunately, they were sun worshippers. They worshipped the sun. And it so happened that Bilqees lived around the time of Prophet Solomon alayhi salam. And Suleiman on his own part was given command of not just humans, but also the jinn, that is the spirits, and animals. He could converse with animals, to the extent that he even said, he said, we have been taught the language of the birds. So he could speak to birds and they'll speak back to him and he understands what they're saying. The same thing with even ants and other animals. So the story of Bilqees in the Quran starts in Surah An-Naml. Allah says, وَتَفَقَّدَ الطَّيْرَ فَقَالَ مَا لِي لَا أَرَى الْهُدْهُدَ أَمْ كَانَ مِنَ الْغَائِبِينَ. This was Suleiman. وَتَفَقَّدَ الطَّيْرَ. One day Suleiman took an inventory of his birds, of all his birds. He had birds under his command, and each of those birds had particular duty assigned to them. So he counted them, he took their numbers and discovered that one was missing. And he said, Mali la ara al-hudhuda. Why is it that I can't find al-hudhud, that is a hoopoe, the bird called the hoopoe, al-hudhud in Arabic. He said, why can't I see al-hudhud? Where is it? Where has it gone to? Am kana min al-ghaibin, or is he among the absentees? Has he absconded? Has he made himself absent from my sitting? لأعذبنه أو لأذبحنه لأعذبنه عذابا شديدا أو لأذبحنه أو ليأتيني بسلطان مبين. For not seeing him, Sulaiman said, I'm going to punish him. لأعذبنهم عذابا شديدا. I'm going to punish him with a severe torment, or I'm going to slaughter him unless he comes with a genuine excuse, a good reason for me not to do that. فمكث غير بعيد. Not long after that, the hoopoe came, that's Al-Hudhud, he came to the sitting of Sulaiman alayhi salam. فقال أحط بما لم تحط به. And he said, I have encompassed a knowledge, or I have gotten a knowledge of something you do not know. That is, in my travels, in my flying, while taking my duty, while carrying out my duty, I discovered something you do not know. And it is said that the duty of the hoopoe bird in the birds that belong to Sulaiman alayhi salam was that he was to go in search of where you can find underground water. And wherever he finds it, he comes back and he gives the information to Sulaiman alayhi salam. And then he sends his people, they go and dig the ground and they find the water. So during his searches, one of those searches, he said, I came across something that you do not know of. And I have come to you from Sheba. Don't forget that Sheba is in Yemen, like we said in the previous story. So I came to you from Yemen with Naba in Yaqeen, a true story, a certain story. And Sulaiman alayhi salam was in Jerusalem. His own kingdom was somewhere in Jerusalem, while Bilqees was somewhere in Yemen. So the distance is quite much, close to 2,000 or so, or thereabout kilometers. So the bird had flown from, flew from Yemen back to Jerusalem and informed Sulaiman that he has a news that was certain and that Sulaiman alayhi salam did not know of. And he said, Inni wajadtu imra'atan tamliku. So he was informing Sulaiman, or the bird was informing Sulaiman, that in Yemen, the people of Sheba, they were being ruled by a woman. Inni wajadtu imra'atan tamlikum. I met a woman leading them or ruling them. Wa utiyat min kulli shay. And she was given everything a ruler could think of possessing. She was given everything that a ruler could think of possessing. Don't forget that in the previous story, we said the land of Sheba was blessed. They had a blessed land, which was why those people could have that garden. So in the same vein, this woman that the bird was reporting to Sulaiman was Bilqees, and he said, وَأُوتِيَتْ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. She was given virtually everything that a person could dream of having as a ruler. وَلَهَا عَرْشٌ عَظِيمٌ. And she also had a great throne. عَرْشٌ عَظِيمٌ. She had a throne, the throne of the king. Hers was quite great, and it was something majestic or something alluring or attractive. It was unique and different. So the bird was giving Sulaiman the details of what he found out about the queen of Sheba, that is Bilqees. She was a queen, and she was given a lot of things, and also she had a great throne. So the bird went on to narrate more to Sulaiman, and the bird said, وَجَدْتُهَا وَقَوْمَهَا يَسْجُدُونَ لِلشَّمْسِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. I met she and her people prostrating to the sun and not to Allah. They were worshipping the sun. Let me briefly inform you of a story here, because many people in the past, they used to worship the sun. In fact, Ibrahim alayhi salam, at some point when he was trying to find the truth, he saw the stars, and he said, this is my Lord. But the star eventually faded out. And then he saw the moon, and he said, Hada Rabbi, this is my Lord. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. And when he saw the moon, he said, the moon, maybe the moon is my Lord. But eventually the moon faded away, and he said, my Lord cannot fade away. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. And when it faded away, he said, I don't like things that fade away. Your Lord should not fade away. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. And when Ibrahim saw the sun, he said, this should be my Lord. This is greater, this is bigger than the moon. هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَتْ. When eventually the sun set and the sun was no longer in the horizon, he said, لَإِن لَمْ يَهْدِنِي رَبِّي لَأَكُونَنَ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. He said, if my Lord does not guide me, I'll be among those who are misguided or lost. And eventually Allah guided him. So the point to note here is that the worship of the sun is an age-long practice. Many people before, they were deeply enmeshed in sun worship. So the worship of the people of Yemen, the Queen of Sheba, was no different from many people before them. And the Hoopoe bird, Al-Hudhud, was informing Suleiman that these people were worshipping the sun. وَجَدْتُهَا وَقَوْمَهَا يَسْجُدُونَ لِلشَّمْسِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُمْ فَصَدَّهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ فَهُمْ لَا يَهْتَدُونَ. And Shaitan made it fair seeming. He made their actions fair seeming to them. So he made it look all right to worship the sun. And that is how Shaitan deceives people. He gives you a reason to believe that what you're doing is right. It tells you that if you don't worship the sun, you'll be ridiculed, you'll be destroyed. If you don't worship so and so, your forefathers worshipped so and so. So it's deserving that you continue in the worship of your forefathers. So فَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم. Shaitan made fair seeming their actions to them, made it look okay to worship the sun. فَصَدَّهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ فَهُمْ لَا يَهْتَدُونَ. And he فَصَدَّهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ, and he averted them from the right way, فَهُمْ لَا يَهْتَدُونَ, and they were not guided. أَلَّا يَسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ الَّذِي يُخْرِجُ الْخَبَأَ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And Shaitan also prevented them from worshipping Allah or prostrating to Allah, or from doing sujood to Allah, that's prostration. That الَّذِي يُخْرِجُ الْخَبَأَ, that exposes what is hidden in the heaven and the earth. وَيَعْلَمُ مَا تُخْفُونَ وَمَا تُعْلِنُونَ. And he knows what you conceal and what you make plain, what you reveal. Allah knows it. Allah knows everything hidden in the heavens and the earth. And he also knows whatever you conceal or whatever you reveal. Like some of the scholars will say, it is possible for you to sin and Allah not knowing. And the only thing you can do is to look for a stretch of land that Allah did not create. If you can find a stretch of land that Allah did not create, you can stay there and sin, and Allah would not know. So it's more or less like a logical statement, which makes it impossible, because Allah is khaliqu kulli shay, Allah creates everything. It's impossible for you to find a land that was not created by Allah. But if you're able to find, and you can sin and assume that Allah would not know. وَسِعَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا. The knowledge of Allah encompasses everything. There's nothing you can do that will be hidden from Allah. Because like the verse states, يُخْرِجُ الْخَبَأَ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Allah exposes what is hidden in the heavens and the earth. وَيَعْلَمُ مَا تُخْفُونَ وَمَا تُعْلِنُونَ. And he knows what you conceal and what you reveal. And then the bird goes on to say, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Allah, there is no God or deity, illahu, except him. There is no God. Al-ilah is something you take for worship. Al-ilah is a God that you worship. There is no deity worthy of worship except Allah. Illahu rabbul arshil azim, and the Lord of a great throne. Al-Arsh, the Lord of a great throne. So the bird was giving a report to Suleiman, and at the same time he was admonishing people, admonishing the listeners, that worshipping the sun is inappropriate, and The people were supposed to worship Allah, but Shaitan made it fair seeming to them to worship the sun, and he prevented them from worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after his whole narrative to Suleiman said, Sananzur asadaqata am kunta min al-kadhibin. Well, we are going to test what you have said. We need to investigate your statement. Let's see if you are from the truthful or whether you're a liar. اذهب بكتابي هذا فألقه إليهم. Go with this letter of mine. And Suleiman gave a letter to the bird. And we all know that one means of communication in the old days was to fold a letter and insert it between the talons of the bird, and then the bird will deliver the message to appropriate places as taught. So he said, اذهب بكتابي هذا. Go forth with this letter of mine, فألقه إليهم, and deliver it to them. ثم تولى عنهم, and depart from them. فانظر ماذا يرجعون, and let's see what they will respond with. Let's see how they are going to respond to my letter. And eventually the letter got to Bilqees in Sheba. And when it got to her, she said, يا أيها الملأ إني ألقي إلي كتاب كريم. She assembled her chiefs and she said to her chiefs, that is her council of elders or her advisors, and she said to them, يا أيها الملأ إني ألقي إلي كتاب كريم. I have received a noble letter, or a noble letter has been sent to me. إنه من سليمان. This letter is from Suleiman. وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, and it begins with بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, or the introductory part is بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So she read out the content of the letter to them, and the beginning was what? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. And some other part of the letter says, Allah ta'alu alayya wa atuni muslimin, and Allah ta'alu alayya, do not be exultant or haughty against me, that is by rejecting the message I'm bringing to you. Wa atuni muslimin, and come to me as Muslims, or come to me as people who submit to Allah. So the brief summary of the letter is that it was an invitation to Islam. Suleiman was inviting them to abandon their ways of worshiping the sun and accept Islam and submit their lives totally to Islam or to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Qalat, and she said, Bilqees said to her people, Ya ayyuha al-mala'u aftuni fi amri ma kuntu qati'atan amran hatta tashhadun. Advise me on this issue, or regarding this issue, because I do not take decisions until you have witnessed it or until you have had an input in it. So she was seeking their wise counsel. What do? We've received a letter from Suleiman. He has invited us to a religion of his. And of course, it means that if we refuse, he's likely going to invade us and go to war with us. What should we do? And the chiefs, they said, نحن أولو قوة وأولو بأس شديد. We are strong people with a competent army. وَالْأَمْرُ إِلَيْكَ, but the decision is left for you to take. فَانْظُرِي مَاذَا تَأْمُرِينَ. Just look at the issue, inspect it, and take whatever decision you want to take. But as for us, whatever you take, we are fine with it. They are ready to go to war, to defend their city, but the decision taken is for the queen. She can take whatever decision she wants to take. And she was a wise queen, so she said, إن الملوك إذا دخلوا قرية أفسدوها وجعلوا أعزة أهلها أذلة. That if kings enter a town by war, if they wage war on a town that is, if kings enter a town, أفسدوها, they spread corruption in that land. They destroy the properties, they take captives, and she was afraid of that happening. وجعلوا أعزة أهلها أذلة, and they make the most honored of the people in that town the most lowly, or the lowest. So you were honored, maybe the kings, the queens, the chiefs. Once the another king invades your town, they reduce your level to a low level. So she wanted to avoid that for her people. So she said, إن الملوك إذا دخلوا قرية أفسدوها وجعلوا عزة أهلها أذلة. Whenever a king enters a town, they spread corruption, they destroy it, they cause wanton destruction of properties, and then they reduce the most honorable to the most low. وَكَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ, and that is what they do. وَإِنِّي مُرْسِلَةٌ إِلَيْهِمْ بِهَدِيَّةٍ, I am going to send a gift to him. فَنَاظِرَةٌ بِمَا يَرْجِعُ الْمُرْسَلُونَ, I'm going to send a gift to him. So rather than maybe wage war or accept war, the war terms, or be exultant like Suleiman had won, she was being wise. She was being diplomatic. So she said, I'm going to send a gift to him and see how or what the messenger will bring back from him. So a gift was given to a messenger to take to Suleiman in Jerusalem. So the messenger left Yemen and headed to Jerusalem. When the messenger got to Suleiman and presented the gift, he said, Suleiman said, "Atumidunani bimal? Are you trying to bribe me with wealth? Fama atani Allahu khairan mimma ataakum. What Allah has given me of wealth is greater than or better than what you have been given of wealth. Bal antum bihadiyatikum tafrahun. It is actually you that will rejoice in your wealth. Wealth is not a big deal to me because I have it in excess. You have nothing that will entice me, that will bribe me. I am focused on ensuring that you abandon your sun worshipping and embrace Islam. So coming to bribe me with wealth isn't going to work." And this also buttresses the fact that we should be people that are not easily bought by wealth. You'll remember in the story of Bilqees, when the people met him and they said, "Hal naj'alu laka kharjan ala an taj'ala baynana wa baynahum sadda?" Should we pay you a wage so that you will build between us and the Ya'juj wa Ma'juj a kind of a bridge or a dam or a bridge? And he said, he rejected their wealth because he said what Allah has given to him is better. What Allah has placed me upon is much more better than whatever you want to give me of wealth. Assist me with your energies, with your strength, so I can build the bridge between the both of you. So we shouldn't be people that can easily bought over with money or riches or promises, as the case may be. We should be firm and resolute in our convictions. Once you're upon the truth, don't let people take you away. Even the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there were attempts to bribe him by the chiefs of Makkah. They said if he wanted to be a chief, they would make him a chief. If he wants wealth, they'll give him wealth. But he should abandon this calling to Islam. But he did not budge. That is the kind of Muslims we should be. So Suleiman said, are you trying to bribe me with wealth? What Allah has given me is better than what He has given you. It is you who rejoice in your wealth, but I have no need for it. Return to them, return to your people in Yemen. We are going to attack them or come to them with an army that the type has never been seen in history. And we are going to remove them from their lands disgraced and lowly. You see, what she was afraid of, he was threatening them with it. They either accept Islam or he was going to come and drive them out of their land. And when the messenger had left, Suleiman said to his chiefs, to the people in his that were sitting in his palace, whom amongst you will bring to me that throne of hers that Hudhud had described as walaha arshun karim, and she has a great throne? Who is going to bring it to me? قَبْلَ أَنْ يَأْتُونِي مُسْلِمِينَ, before she comes to me as a believer, who can bring that throne to me? He already knew that after his threat to her, she was going to come to him and come and accept Islam, because nobody will want her people to be invaded. But before she comes from Yemen to Jerusalem, he wanted somebody to go to Yemen, steal her throne, and bring it to him while he was still seated in that palace at that point in time. And don't forget that in the palace of Suleiman, it was a mixture of creatures. There were humankind, there were jinn kinds, spirits, there were animals present, like Al-Hudhud, the hippo. So the king was now requesting, a king cannot request, was now asking who is going to get him the throne of Bilqees from Yemen to Jerusalem. So the first to speak was Ifritu min al-Jinn, the chiefs from among the jinn, the chief from among the spirits. He was like their leader. Ifritu min al-Jinn. Ana atika bihi qabla an taquma min maqami. I am going to bring that throne to you before the end of this sitting, this conference. Before you leave this your throne, because of course we know that in a sitting of a king, he doesn't get up from his throne until that day's business is done. So Ifritu min al-Jinn was saying, I'm going to bring the throne to you before the end of this sitting. Before you get up from the throne, in a few minutes or hours, I'm going to get it for you. وَإِنِّي عَلَيْهِ لَقَوِيٌّ أَمِينٌ. I am on such an errand, strong and trustworthy. That is, he is able to do that. And if you look at this verse, it tells us that the jinn kind, the spirits, have been given special qualities, which is one, strength and speed. Strength and speed. He intends to travel from from Jerusalem to Yemen and back in a matter of minutes before the end of Suleiman's sitting. But despite all that, a man called الذي عنده علم من الكتاب, somebody from amongst the sitting of Suleiman who has knowledge of the books, that is the books that was revealed in their time. He had studied the books, so he had such knowledge. That man, he was a man, and he said, أنا آتيك به قبل أن يرتد إليك طرفك. I am going to bring it to you before you blink your eyes. Before you blink your eyes, I am going to bring that throne from Yemen to Jerusalem. And the scholars say the name of this man was Asif bin Barqiyya. Allahu A'lam. They said that was his name, Asif bin Barqiyya. If you check the Tafsir of Tabari, you'll see his name mentioned there. And it was said that, even though there are differences of opinion, but some scholars say all he had to say was to ask Allah to help him, and by praying with Ya Dhal Jalali wal Ikram, a dua called Ismullahi al-A'zam. So he just made dua. We know humans are not that fast to travel from Jerusalem to Yemen. So he just made dua to Allah to assist him in bringing the throne, and Allah assisted him. So despite the fact that the jinns, the spirits, have a lot of peculiar powers, we have also powers that are greater, which is our dua, our adhkar, that is sufficient as protection for us. So this man said, الذي عنده علم من الكتاب, who was given the knowledge from the book, أنا آتيك به قبل أن يرتد إليك طرفك. I'm going to bring the throne to you before you blink your eyes. فلما رآه مستقرا عنده. When eventually Suleiman saw the throne brought before him, he said, هذا من فضل ربي. This is from the bounties of my Lord. ليبلوني أأشكر أم أكفر. To test me if I'm going to be thankful or ungrateful. Al-kufru here is ingratitude. So he knew that the favor of Allah upon him was a test, which is something we should also know in our life. When Allah tests you with a ni'mah, a favor, Allah gives you something. You'll be asking for Allah for children, so Allah blesses you with a child. If you're wanting a car, you ask Allah to give you a car, so Allah blesses you with a car. You wanted to build a house, Allah makes it easy for you to build the house. You've been in search of a job, and Allah makes the job easy for you. It is a test. Allah is testing you. Will you be thankful to Allah, or will you be ungrateful? And one way of being ungrateful is to ascribe that thing to yourself. Like we saw Qarun, he said, "Innama utituhu ala ilmin indi." I was given this wealth because of the knowledge I possess. That's ingratitude. Another way of being ungrateful is not to maintain Allah's right in that thing. So Suleiman is saying, after seeing the throne brought before him, before he could blink his eyes, he said, هَذَا مِنْ فَضْلِ رَبِّي لِيَبْلُوَنِي أَأَشْكُرُ أَمْ أَكْفُرُ. This is from the bounties of Allah to test me if I'm going to be thankful or ungrateful. وَمَنْ شَكَرَ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ. Whoever is thankful, then he does that for himself, just for his own benefit. If you thank Allah, it's to your own benefit. It's not as if you not thanking Allah will reduce anything from his wealth, or you thanking him will add anything to his wealth. There's no need for your thank actually. It's for your own benefit, because Allah says, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you are thankful, I will increase you. So if you are thankful because you are expecting Allah to increase you, your disbelief will only harm you. Your ingratitude will only harm you. You cannot harm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ شَكَرَ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ. Whoever is thankful for himself. وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ رَبِّي غَنِيٌّ كَرِيمٌ. But whoever is ungrateful, then he should know that my Lord is ghaniyun, is free of want, is rich and free of all wants, kareem and bountiful. So he has all he needs, he has no need for your thanking. So if you are thankful, it's for your own sake. If you are ungrateful, it's for your own sake. And some of the scholars say that they gave different reasons as to why Suleiman wanted her throne. Some say he was awed by the description of Hudhud, of her throne, so he wanted it for himself. And some said that he knew she was going to come and accept Islam, and once she becomes a Muslim, then her wealth becomes impossible for him to inherit or to take over. So he wanted the throne brought to him before she accepts Islam. That was why he wanted it at such a fast pace. And the third narrative says that he wanted to use it as a means to check her intelligence, or to show her what Allah has given him of bounties, and which is likely what he did, because in the next verse he said, "Nakiru laha arshaha." Disguise that throne, disguise the throne. Nanzur atahtadi am takuna min alladhina la yahtadun. Let's see if she'll be amongst those who are guided or from those who are not guided. So will she be able to identify her throne? They disguised it, they changed the way it looks. And let's see, if she had knowledge, if Allah guides her, Allah may have inspired her to identify the throne. So it was meant as a means to test her actually. نَكِّرُ لَهَا عَرْشَهَا نَنْظُرْ أَتَهْتَدِي أَمْ تَكُونُ مِنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَهْتَدُونَ. فَلَمَّا جَاءَتْ. Eventually, Bilqees came to Suleiman. She came all the way from Yemen to Jerusalem. And فَلَمَّا جَاءَتْ. When she arrived, قِيلَ أَهَكَذَا عَرْشِكَ. أَهَكَذَا عَرْشُكَ. Is this your throne? Is this the way your throne looks like? And she said, كَأَنَّهُ هُوَ. It looks like it. She didn't say it was the one. She said, كَأَنَّهُ هُوَ. It looks like it. She wasn't sure. She was doubting. She said, كَأَنَّهُ هُوَ. And she failed the test of Suleiman, which indicates that she was from among those who were misguided. وَأُوتِينَ الْعِلْمَ مِنْ قَبْلِهَا وَكُنَّا مُسْلِمِينَ. And Suleiman said, we were given knowledge before her, and we are Muslims. We are from those who submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَصَدَّهَا مَا كَانَتْ تَعْبُدُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ. And what she had engaged in worshiping besides Allah prevented her from knowledge and prevented her from worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّهَا كَانَتْ مِنْ قَوْمٍ كَافِرِينَ. Indeed, she had been from amongst those who were disbelievers. Because to worship any other thing besides Allah makes you a disbeliever. So indeed, Bilqees had been from those who were disbelievers. Eventually, he made her pass through the last test. He said to her, كِيلَ لَهَا دُخُولِ الصَّرْحِ. It was said to her to enter a glass surface that had water underneath it. So you can imagine such a technology at such a time in the Quran. Here, لها دخول الصرح. It was said to her to enter a sarh. A sarh is a glass surface, a surface that was polished with glass, but with water underneath. So the surface is polished so seamless that you may not see the surface as glass, and all you can see is the water underneath it. So they told Bilqees, enter this sarh, enter the palace. And when she saw it, فَلَمَّا رَأَتْهُ حَسِبَتْهُ لُجَّةً. She thought it was a body of water because she couldn't see the glass of it. She thought it was a collection of water. وَكَشَفَتْ عَنْ سَاقَيْهَا. So she folded up her cloth, exposing her legs. You know, like someone preparing to enter, dip her feet into water. So she raised her garment a little bit, exposing her feet so that it will not get wet when she gets into the water. The design deceived her to think that she was about to step onto water. So she raised her garment. So that was an intelligent maneuver from Sulaiman alayhi salam. فَلَمَّا رَأَتْهُ حَسِبَتْهُ لُجَّةً وَكَشَفَتْ عَنْ سَاقَيْهَا. So she raised her cloth, exposing her shin, preparing to enter it. قَالَ إِنَّهُ صَرْحٌ مُمَرَّدٌ بِالْقَوَارِيرِ. So Sulaiman then informed her that there was no need for her to raise her garment. إِنَّهَا صَرْحٌ مُمَرَّدٌ بِالْقَوَارِيرِ. It's just a palace whose surface have been polished with glass, polished smooth with glass. And after seeing such magnificence, you know, such display of magnificence from Sulaiman, she said, Rabbi inni zalamtu nafsi. My Lord, I have wronged myself. وَأَسْلَمْتُ مَعَ سُلَيْمَانَ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And I submit myself together with Sulaiman to Allah, the Lord of Alameen, all that exists, mankind and jinns. And that was how Bilqees accepted Islam, and eventually her entire people accepted Islam. And when we say Islam, it may not be Islam in the form that we know it today. Islam as a word means total submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all of the prophets that and messengers that Allah sent all preached Tawheed, and they were all Muslims. And this brings us to the end of the story of Bilqees, the queen of Sheba. So the story is laden with lessons. One is the evil of shirk, the evil of worshipping anything besides Allah, and how Shaitan makes fair seeming such practices. It makes it so alluring, so attractive. And today, we have people who commit shirk in various forms, and Shaitan convinces you that it's the right thing to do. Like those who go around with anklets and amulets and so on and so forth as a means of protection. They always look so agitated, so scared if they forget to have it on, because Shaitan has convinced them or made it fair seeming that without that amulet, that they would be left unprotected. So that is how Shaitan deceives the children of Adam to worship other things besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should learn from this to be full Muslims. Allah says, ادخلوا في السلم كافة ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان. Enter Islam completely. Don't put one foot in and one foot out. Practice it completely. Submit to Allah totally. قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. Say, my prayers and my sacrifices, my living and my dying are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, la sharika lah. I'm not going to associate any partner with him. So that is our life. We should always try to stay far away from shirk. And until the next class, do have a wonderful and beautiful iftar. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين يستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.